Well, I'm Scott Coefield. I'm currently the superintendent of schools in Oneonta City. I've been there for 4 years. Love the job there, love the people there. I'm an appointed superintendent. I began my career in Cleveland County, 20-something years there. I was an elected superintendent in Cleveland County. In between those two times, I spent some time, or actually before I became superintendent of Cleveland County, I worked for the State Department for about 2 years as a principal coach, where I actually went into schools and helped provide structured support in raising student achievement and working with leadership teams and those types of things. And during those times, I have adopted somewhat of a philosophy or a framework about what makes successful schools. Now, it's nothing new. It's taking a lot from the research and some common sense ideas. But during that time, I think the places that in Cleveland County and Oneonta now, we've had some success academically. But there's really three key things that I think that I try to look at as far as the superintendent, just looking at the organization as a whole and the schools as a whole. And those three things are the school culture, how efficiently we're running the school, and effective instruction. So let's talk about culture. There's lots of things that make up the culture of a school. You know, is there good discipline? Are the schools clean? But you know, the real thing about the culture of a school is the attitudes of those teachers. Do they have that sense of efficacy so that when those kids walk through the door, do they take ownership and responsibility in what's going on? And really all you have to do is listen to the conversation at the teacher table, the lunch table. You know, if a teacher's talking and half the kids failed the test, if it's all about the kids didn't try and the parents don't care and all those kind of things, you've got problems there. If the conversation is, you know, half my kids didn't pass the test, I've got to rethink how I was teaching that, I didn't reach them. Those are the kind of conversations you want to hear. And I think in those really good schools, those teachers have that sense of efficacy. It's about what I do. It doesn't matter where they come from. Most kids walk through the doors. They're ours, and we've got them from that time, the time they're here, the time we leave, and we're going to do the best we can with them. And I think that's so important. So those schools that are really good, they have that strong culture. They have those high expectations. They have that sense of efficacy. The schools are clean, good discipline. There's effective professional development going on. You know, the people in the building trust one another. They may not always agree. And it doesn't mean things are going to be smooth all the time. But overall, they do trust that, you know, the teachers trust the leadership trusts the teachers, that things are going to go well. So those are some things that I always try to keep an eye on, is the culture of that school. And I think that you'll find in most effective schools that you have a really strong culture that's there in the schools. School efficiency, particularly in areas where you don't have a lot of funds, a lot of money, and I'll say that in the places where I've been superintendent, we've not had a lot of funds. I think currently in Oneonta we're like 6th from the bottom what we spend per child, but yet we do achieve very well. Look at all the different kind of rankings, and we're usually up there. But with school efficiency, it's about coordinating everything that you do, coordinating the services and the plans that the kids receive. You can't waste your resources. When I say resources, I'm talking about your human resources or your material resources. You just can't waste anything. You look at your schedules. Are you maximizing the use of all your personnel? You know, if you go into one classroom and there's 12 kids there, and you go to another classroom and there's 40, those are some efficiency things you have to look at. So, making sure that across the organization, across the schools, that you're maximizing the use of all of your personnel. And that's really knowing individually what all your people are doing, all the courses your kids are taking, how we're coordinating all those, or all of our plans, whether they're special ed or Title I or at risk, or all those things have to be coordinated. And if everyone's meeting and talking and communicating and planning, you have school efficiency. And even in your curriculum. I've always said, we've got to work smarter, not always harder. But making sure you're aligned, your curriculum is aligned to the things that are most important, the standards that you're being held accountable to, the standards that are going to help our kids be successful. Whether that's alignment to the ACT for college entrance, or that's alignment to get their vocational certification. But if your teachers haven't had the opportunities to sit down with administration and look at your curriculum, vertically, K through 12, horizontally across the grade levels in different departments, and if you're not truly aligned and everybody's got to focus on what needs to take place, then you're going to waste time, you're going to waste money, you're going to waste effort. And I think that's the other thing we've tried to do, is to make sure that we are very efficient in everything that we did, even aligning our curriculum to making our plans with our different people. And of course, effective instruction just goes without saying. Are we looking at data? Is our instructions based on data? Are we using research-based instructional strategies that work? Do we have consistent implementation throughout? You know, it's really not okay if I've got 7 first-grade teachers and we've got 5 that's doing great and wonderful things, and we've got 2 that are resistant and don't want to do it. That's not really fair to all the kids. And so when you're talking about effective instruction, I'm talking about a consistent implementation of strategies. And so that takes monitoring of what we're doing. So all three of those things kind of tie together. Culture, are we being efficient in what we're doing, and are we providing effective instruction? I don't know how you can make really good instructional decisions unless you're looking at data throughout the school year. This is something that we've had in place in our elementary schools for a long time. We've been looking at DIBELS, dynamic indicators of basic early literacy skills. So these teachers, they give assessments, they see where the kids are, they begin to group those kids and teach to those kids based on the different levels they are. They meet monthly, which kids have made progress, which kids are still struggling, how do we regroup them, how do we change our schedules to make sure the kids get what they want to get. Now, we've been doing that in elementary schools for a long time, but I'll tell you, and even in Oneonta, where we're being very successful, we are still at the middle grades and the high school developing those things. And with all the changes that's come with our curriculum and end of course tests, those are conversations we're having right now. And I'll just give you an example in Oneonta. I know this year there are 2 end of course tests that are mandated by the State Department. I think that's Algebra 1 and English 10. It could be English 9, I'm not sure. We decided that we're going to give them all because we want to go ahead and be collecting that data at the end of the year. And now we are currently working, and this is causing a little bit of strife right now because it's the first time we've ever done it, but our teachers are working on building those progress monitoring assessments to lead us up to those end of course tests. In other words, every 9 weeks, let's test on the standards, let's do a comprehensive test on the standards, and let's see where we are. What have we mastered? What have we not mastered? And we hope that guides instruction. We hope that when that teacher looks at that data at the end of the 9 weeks, they're going to say, you know what, of the 8 standards that I was teaching during the first 9 weeks, look here, 6 of those standards, 75% of my kids mastered those. I'm pretty good there. But look at these 2 standards. We were very weak. I've got to look at my instruction. I've got to look at the resources that I have. And as administrators, that's when that's our job. Well, why are we weak here? Is that because you didn't teach it? Is that because you taught it but maybe you didn't have the resources to teach it? But unless we collect that data, we don't know the answers to those questions. So we don't see it as a threat. It's not you didn't do your job. It's let's collect the data and let's look at it so that we can make corrections as we move along. Because if you're just going to school and you're just going to class, at the end of the year, you're taking an end-of-course test, you really don't know until you get the results back. And waiting till the end of the year and getting the results back and saying to the teachers in the summer, hey, we got to do better. And then you start the next year and you do the same thing. That's what I mean by data. Data-driven instruction.